Welcome back, WNST, Taos, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. I am masked up. We're here in Los Angeles, and one of the reasons I came out, it wasn't that I was going to do the greatest radio of my career here, because I'm not. Because this is only going to be a 7-minute segment. Your handler's already handling you. I'm out in L.A. Even old football players have handlers now.
Man, right.
Randy Grimes has been a friend of mine for a number of years, recovering former player in Tampa. You've told me all your horror stories over the years. You've brought me some sad cases that you've helped some players, other players you can't. Some men you just can't reach, but you try to reach them all. How are you, man? Missed you Tampa last year.
You getting tired of all this stuff yet?
What? Elbow bumping?
Elbows.
What, do you want me to French kiss you? What do you want me to do?
I do. Would you?
No, I wouldn't, but I'll elbow bump you. Randy's done a book on, let's see, a memoir of addiction, recovery, and redemption in professional football.
Written by Coach Ditka.
Well, I got to ask you about this because we can talk about all the past and all that, but how was it for you last year, being in Tampa and having them win a Super Bowl? I mean, you're associated with that franchise. I mean, it's why you're here right now. I mean, really something special for your region last year.
It was awesome. It was just so unfortunate that it was during COVID and, events like this were a ghost town last year, and that, as a result of the NFL protocols and stuff. A lot of people wanted to come, but they couldn't. But
it's not the same when I'm not there, is it?
Not the same.
It's not the same. I
know, and I noticed that right off the bat. It was even at the airport. There was a sign.
That's why I wore
this
shirt for you. I was going to take the shirt off because I have sponsors. I got Costas in here. I got Liberty Pure. I could do all.
Well, you got to get like a Robert Graham sponsorship.
And I was like, you know what? If Grimes is coming over, I need to not have the second best shirt on the set. You know what I mean? I need to make sure.
You accomplished that.
But last year, it was a little hollow. It felt hollow to me. Not just because I didn't go, just on TV and just the whole thing was a little weird last year.
Yeah, well, you had this huge room at the convention center and like 4 or 5 different people in there, and it was sad. There just wasn't a lot of people there. But the good thing is Tampa won the Super Bowl. That's the bottom line, right?
Tom Brady's retired. It's all over for you.
Maybe not. Maybe Giselle let him come back and play another year.
It's been too long since we've won, so I'm angry about all this. You got a book.
Are you really?
Your book. Well, I mean, we have all sorts of issues. I didn't know I was coming
here. You're competitive every year, though. You can't say that.
We have great leadership.
Yeah.
And we're questioning that right now. Why a book? Why now? You've been telling. I thought you might have already had a book. So when they handed me the paperback, I'm like, was I asleep on this the last 10 years? And this is
I've been talking about it for the last 12 years. But I finally poured my heart into 234 pages. Everything we've been talking about over the years is in this book, and it talks about what my family went through, how they helped me. My family's the hero of my story, my journey out of darkness into light. But it also it runs parallel. There's 2 stories going on in this book. One of them is an intervention that me and Lydia are doing, and the other one is our story. And the 2 go back and forth with each other, and we're really proud of the format. I'm really proud of how it turned out. You got to read the reviews. It's awesome, and you can find it on Amazon or go to offcenterthebook.com. It's
there
the
it
best.
is.
Don't you love that cover?
Look at that good-looking guy there. It's the same guy right there. Randy, of course, was the center for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for a long, long time. How many years sober for you? And give everybody a little pathway. You played a lot of games in this league. It's some anonymity because you played in the creamsicle era.
Oh, I love the creamsicle
you
era.
Still look everybody looks good in the creamsicle.
Was there ever another era besides the creamsicle? Yeah, I played 10 years. I had 5 different head coaches, 6 different offensive line coaches, 10 different quarterbacks, and 2 or 3 different general managers.
Was Vinny one of them?
Vinny was my last one. Yeah,
Vinny came and visited me 2 years
ago.
My
first one was Jack Thompson throwing Samoan.
Man,
going way back now. DeBerg.
I love DeBerg.
Jerry Goldstein.
Go ahead, keep going.
I didn't get to play with Doug. He was at the training camp. My rookie year before we reported to training mini camp, he was there, but then he went off to Washington, so I didn't get to play with Doug Williams. But
the big sombrero, baby.
Right. And I was just talking to Rick Neuheisel yesterday.
How's Rick?
Who knew that he was in Tampa for had a cup of coffee there or something?
I didn't know.
I didn't know that either.
Rick threw a lot of parties in the USFL. I give him a hard time about it being a San Antonio gunslinger. Randy Grimes
I know him as Coach Neuheisel.
Well, there you go. Off Center RX is the book, and you've told me so many of these stories. Give me the last year or 2 for you with athletes and people coming forward. Because look, the league's trying to do so much about so much, like helmets, safety, old players, young players, black players, white. They got messages for everything, right?
Right.
But I still know players come out of this game banged up. They come out of this game broken to some degree. They come out more broke than they think they are if they weren't handled the right way.
And they come out of the game not knowing who they are when they don't have that uniform anymore, which is something I struggled with a long time. When I didn't have that playbook in front of me every Monday, when I didn't have that itinerary.
Structure.
Yes. Well, identity. You know, and I call it transitional trauma. I mean, I left the game with chronic pain. Yeah, I left the game with an addiction that just kept getting worse. But the fact that I didn't have that, I wasn't Randy Grimes, the football player anymore. I struggled with that for a long time. And that's what we deal with so well at White Sands Treatment Center is, yeah, we treat the substance abuse and we help them through that, but we deal with the underlying issues that make people do what they do in substance abuse. And for me, it was transitional trauma, but there's always an underlying issue, and trauma is what we do best at White Sands.
Well, I like longer visits with you, so when you're not out here in Hollywood getting handled. I got 10 more minutes.
But,
well, now we're going to tell
really?
old stories. All right, make me cry, Randy. Come on.
Now you got to think about how
All
can
right.
yeah.
Well, the idea to do the book, I mean, I'm sure this has come to you, and I've heard a bunch of your stories over the course of years that you would have the contents for a book. For you, audience, for this, is this something you're going to hand to a player who's in trouble? Because you brought a lot of players in trouble to this desk over the course of years. Some of them may be doing better than others, and you can brag on the ones that you've helped. But I would think this is a little bit of a roadmap.
This book has something for everybody: former athletes, current athletes, loved ones of athletes. And it doesn't have to be an athlete; it could be anybody struggling with addiction. There's something for everybody in this book. I wrote about a bunch of different characters. They're fictitious, of course, but we've taken them from our lived experiences, and I've written. There's codependency, there's enabling, there's stigma, there's everything that families go through that keep them from asking for help or keep them struggling in this world of addiction. So I'm proud of the characters in this book, but everybody will be able to relate to somebody that's written about in this book.
So for you, your work, your center, give everybody the update on that, because I know you do this work, not just Super Bowl work, right? Like you got the other 364 days of the year.
Well, and Pro Athletes in Recovery is based out of White Sands Treatment Center. It's in Tampa, Fort Myers. We do a lot of, we're number one treatment center in Florida, and we do
this
a lot.
This isn't just for football players.
No,
right?
this is not. Yeah.
Right.
And thanks for saying that.
Yeah, because
sometimes I box myself in.
I know you from football players, but these are regular people.
Right. Well, we do a lot of great work, not just with athletes, with everybody, especially first responders, and veterans. We really help that market a lot. So things are going good. Things are really going good. I can't believe I hadn't seen you in 2 years.
I just think the pandemic has led to all sorts of unintended consequences in regard to people being at home, people drinking too much, people shut in with the wrong people, like all of these issues, all of life's ills that were with us 2 years ago when Kobe Bryant died, the week we were together. Since then, these masks for 700 days of this and people being in, I would think the addiction business is going to be booming in the next 24 months, because people are, when we get back out, life shifted. Life shifted for so many people, right?
And what are we telling everybody to do because of COVID? And that's isolate, and that's the worst thing you can do if you're struggling with something like this, whether it's substance abuse and mental health issues. So, yeah, we're constantly trying to combat that, because everybody's told to isolate, stay away, stay focused on being by yourself, and here that's the worst thing you could do. So yeah, the numbers of addiction has increased incredibly, and the overdose death, still the number one killer for people 18 to 45. Can you believe that? Number one cause of death is overdose for 18 to 45.
Oh, and then you have suicide as well, right? And
that all goes together.
You never know where the bottom is for people and where that point is. Pleasure, pain. That you say, I need help. That today's the day I'm going to get
right.
To be how many years for you now?
What?
So
12 and a half.
Okay, so give me the last day. What was the breaking point for you? Because there's a point for everybody.
Oh my God.
And they don't know where it is, where they reach. And if there's somebody out there listening right now, what do you say to them about today being that day for them?
Well, my last few days. The perfect storm came together in the summer of 2009. My daughter wouldn't let me see my first grandchild. Tom McHale had passed away recently, a guy that I played with in Tampa, doing the same thing I was doing, self-medicating the injuries he got while he played with the Bucs. My daughter wouldn't let me come around first grandchild. My wife, she just couldn't take it anymore. She felt like she was loving me to death, and she couldn't watch me continue to kill myself. I'd had a series of seizures right there at the end, so there was health concerns. So all those things combined finally made me put my hand up and ask for help. And whoever she called that day at the league office, back then they didn't have anything for former.
So the league office did or didn't help?
Did not. Well, they did not have anything for former players then. It's just whoever she talked to that day knew somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody, and that's how I got to treatment.
Well, where do you find the light? You say you got the treatment. Where is that? You drive up to a place, you walk into a room, and you meet a man or a
I went to a
woman?
rehab in West Palm Beach, right. And,
First time you'd ever been to rehab?
Yes.
All right, so that's unusual. Cause
No, I'm sorry. No, it's about the third, right?
Yeah, I was going to
listen to
say.
her.
No, but repeat offenders, right? Like literally.
Yes.
That's not unusual.
Yeah. No, it's not unusual.
You want the first time to be the last time, but oftentimes it's not.
Right, but those other 2 or 3 failed attempts were obviously all my fault because I didn't engage. I always say you get out of it what you put into it, and I didn't engage. I didn't do what they recommended. I didn't follow the protocol, and so that was on me. But this last time, obviously, it took.
Well, how do you feel about following the protocol now?
I have to do something every day.
What about this worked for you?
Accountability. For some reason, I was more accountable. I listened this time. I did everything that they asked me to do. They asked me to move into sober living. I was 49 years old, former professional football player, and they asked me to move into –
Been drinking since you're 14, right? Literally.
Yeah, literally. And they asked me to move into sober living when I got through with 90 days worth of inpatient treatment. And I was still willing to do – when I crawled into that treatment center September 22nd, 2009 on hands and knees, I was desperate. And I like to think that after 90 days, when it was all over, I still had that gift of desperation. And I was willing to do whatever they told me to. My family was still in Houston, and I was still in Florida. I moved into sober living with a bunch of 18, 21-year-old kids, and I did everything they asked me to do. I went to meetings, and I still try to do everything that they asked me to do.
Well, every day.
I've got to do every day. You got to
day,
do something.
Right? Yeah, you're always an addict, right?
Right.
Randy Grimes is here. He has written about his struggles to help you. The book is Off Center RX, a memoir of addiction, recovery, and redemption in professional football. Still love football?
Love football.
Yeah, love. I mean, this is a good game, and we're a little broken up in Baltimore about this Joe Burrow thing. We always look at the Bengals as being like we'd have to worry about that. Now
who'd ever thought they'd get here,
in the next 10 years, we got trouble here. Some reminiscent of Brady. I mean, the Brady thing in Tampa was just probably a beautiful light for your community. Ryan Jensen's a good buddy of mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I mean, Jensen's the Baltimore guy.
He's nasty.
I've grown my
hair
hair
like that guy.
Yeah, he is.
Just for him, you grew it like that?
Yeah, it's not red, but it's. So I kind of pulled for them because I have a buddy snapping the ball to Tom Brady and talk about how serendipity takes over. He takes that job, goes in there, gets paid, and then Brady shows up, right? I mean,
wow.
And to see a guy operate at that level of professionalism at 44 years of age, so it'll never be done again, what he did.
But you know what? I believe the legacy that he's going to leave for that young Buccaneer team is a legacy of confidence, of that championship spirit, of that never say die, it's never over, that confidence. I can remember coming back into the huddle and having Steve DeBerg in there and being so confident, the way he was in the huddle and the way he managed his huddle.
I had him on a show one time. It was one of my favorite interviews.
Oh, he's hilarious.
Ever. I had him on at the Atlanta Super Bowl, and he sat down and just did a shoot interview with me, and I'm like, I like that guy. That guy's all right.
He is. He's one of a kind. But, that's that air of confidence that Tom brought. Obviously he brought a championship and some great plays, but he brought that air of, just that winner's confidence, and that's going to be his legacy that he'll leave in that locker room.
Randy Grimes, long visit. They left it. See, I must be. It was the shirt that I got extra time with you, right? It's because I wore the shirt. All of it brought to you by our friends at the Maryland Lottery. We're letting ourselves play. We're going to be doing the Maryland Crab Cake. I'm doing a crab cake tour.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah.
We're going to be back out at Mama's on the Half Shell beginning on March 4th. Get back next week. And it's always good to see you. And next year's Arizona, then we got Vegas. We're getting around.
Right.
Still working with athletes. Any success stories that you wish to
Lots of success stories, and I don't just work with athletes. I work with everybody. But can I plug a few things before we get off?
Sure, absolutely.
All right, offcenterthebook.com. You can find me there. Here's the book. Go to Amazon, and also you can find me at proathletesinrecovery.org or at whitesandstreatment.com or wstreatment.com.
So when an athlete comes to you or a person comes to you, it's really a classroom setting, right? I mean, what you go through.
It's a therapeutic setting. You know what classroom? It's a
learning setting.
Yeah, absolutely right. And
there's a lot of time to pass. I mean, I've often thought about this, like not in relationship to being like a jail, but being a place where. You pass time working on you.
Yes.
Like literally.
Yes. And I tell these guys when they come in or anybody, I want you to be selfish. I want you to focus on yourself. I want you to think only about yourself. I only have you for a short time. It's going to be a blink of an eye, but you got to get as much out of this as you can while you can. And it's a beautiful thing to watch when the light comes on. And they hear that one thing or meet that one person, and it all comes together for them. It's a beautiful thing,
She
man.
thinks so. Look at
Yeah.
Randy Grimes is here. We're on Radio Row. It's not Super Bowl wet. You were around here. And I said when I came out this week, I'll be wearing a mask. And, some people might not be here, but I felt like a lot of people would be here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this is a little bit it's coming back to life a little bit.
I think
it was
so,
quiet early in the week, but seeing familiar faces, this is it feels normal. Except for the Bengals being here.
but yeah, except for that. But by next year in Arizona, we should be full speed again, I would think.
That's all right. I'll
This
mask
isn't
up
bad,
and stay
though.
safe. No,
Yeah.
it's nice.
This is not bad.
Los Angeles. Come on out. The Hollywood sign. You can see it from my hotel.
La La Land.
I am live from Los Angeles. We have Super Bowl 56 coverage. Back for more from the Convention Center right after this.